Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. We're going to have a fun show today. We're going to talk about brucellosis. Brucellosis, or bangs, in cattle is something that we've eradicated in this country. We still calfhood vaccinate, and we still have the potential of that disease popping up if we don't stay on top of it. We have Dr. Justin Smith, who's the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner for the state of Kansas here. It's going to be a great show. Thanks for joining me.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Folks, welcome to the show. Dr. Smith, welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Dan.
Folks, as I mentioned in the opening, this is Dr. Justin Smith, and he is the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner here in the state of Kansas, works with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. Former practitioner, Western Kansas, wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience. We're lucky to have him in the state of Kansas, and we're lucky to have him on the show. We're going to talk about something that pretty common, but maybe we haven't thought about the history of what's actually going on. It's brucellosis, folks, in cows or bangs.
Exactly. So yeah, brucellosis has been around for a long time. Actually, it was founded in the United States back in the early 1900s, and but we've had it here in the United States up at that point in time. Luckily for us, we are free here in the state of Kansas and have been free for close to 20 years now. So.
Yeah. And it comes with, kind of the history. This is a disease that not only causes disease in cattle, but it can cause disease in humans. But more importantly, we decided it's something we need to eradicate.
Very true, very true. It is a disease, it is a zoonotic disease, so we do catch it from some of our domestic species that we deal with. We have basically 4 variants that we deal with. There's affects sheep and goats, swine, cattle, and some of our camelids and cervids as well. So we do deal with it. It's one of them things that we can't control, and we do have the ability to eradicate it, and we have eradicated it here in the state.
Yeah, and it was quite an eradication process back in the 60s and 70s, where we went out and bled every cow.
Most definitely. Our predecessors did a knock-up job as far as getting rid of this disease, and so the animals, herds were tested on a routine basis. Where they went to sales, wherever they were commingled, they were tested on a routine basis. Positive animals were identified, and then herds that positive animals came from were done in a test and remove type process until they were cleaned and cleaned them herds up.
And that's how, being from the feed yard world, we had quarantine feed yards, and that's where the term quarantine feed yard came from. Is you had a bangs positive, we'd brand her and then send her to the yard, and she didn't go anywhere but slaughter.
Slaughter only, exactly. And still our sale barns today have quarantine pens for kind of a holdover for that purpose, is because as them animals were identified at the sale barn, because there are a test they can do right on site, a screening test, and as they were found positive, they were put in them pens and sold for slaughter purposes only.
So kind of laying the groundwork, we've done the test and remove, and then we vaccinate to control as well.
That's very true. Very true.
So we have the 2 different biosecurity. So when we'll save the vaccination part and kind of for the calfhood segment of the show, but
exactly.
It's one of those things that's tremendous program, USDA programs, correct?
That is true. They provide the support and the indemnity for it. Exactly.
Okay. So if we do find a positive, we do have an indemnity?
Yes, we do.
Cool, so people can be reimbursed. Folks, this is Dr. Justin Smith. He's with the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner here in the state of Kansas. We're talking about brucellosis, bangs. When we come back, we're going to talk more about how that has an impact here on our industry in the U.S. and how we're controlling it. You're watching DocTalk. We appreciate you watching the show. More after these messages.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com. This segment is brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with our special guest, Dr. Justin Smith, who's the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner for the state of Kansas, which means you pretty much have your finger on the pulse of all regulatory veterinary medicine and internal movement, external movement of animals. Quite a bit of job, isn't there?
Exactly. Kansas, we have a tremendous amount of movement in and out of the state, and you're right, it all comes through our office as far as being able to validate that is a legal movement, as well as a movement that we have our hands on in case we need to do some follow-up and trace backs on disease purposes.
Okay, so kind of talk me through, because I think that sometimes producers, and maybe we just start out with, like, let's just use Kansas as an example, but when do I need to get a health paper?
Sure. Anytime that an animal comes into the state of Kansas, unless they are coming to slaughter or to a livestock market, must have a current CVI or a current certificate of veterinary inspection done.
So if they're going to a packing plant, they don't need a health
paper. They do not need a health paper, no.
And then a market, define that.
A livestock auction market, one of our livestock markets here in the state of Kansas.
So they could come in from Colorado and go to a livestock market. Now, to leave that market, do they need a health paper?
If they're going back to the other state or going back across state lines, yes, they will need a health paper. Okay. But the reason for that is we have veterinary inspectors at them livestock markets, and so they serve as the inspections of them.
And
animals.
we have them at the slaughter facilities too.
Exactly.
USDA antemortem inspections.
Exactly.
Okay, so it makes perfect sense. So then, places that they're going that there won't be veterinary inspection from the state or federal level is when they have to have the accredited veterinarian.
Yep.
At the state of origin.
State of origin, a preemptive inspection, exactly.
That makes a heck of a lot of sense, doesn't it, folks? So then, when it comes to brucellosis, what kind of things do we have to document on brucellosis?
Well, fortunately, the United States is free.
Okay.
Every state in the nation is free right at this point in time, and we don't expect otherwise. Now, there are some areas that are around the Yellowstone that we consider our designated surveillance areas. Mm-hmm. They have an endemic problem with their wildlife population out there, and so there is an area that's deemed within them 3 states around Yellowstone that are deemed to have brucellosis problems. So for that, the state of Kansas requires any animals that are coming in for the purposes of breeding or anything over 18 months of age must have a brucellosis test.
Okay.
Prior to coming in.
So that's really the only place that bangs winds up being on the health papers is in that Yellowstone
in that
area.
Yellowstone area, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then what other things, I mean, if we got a minute here till we go to the break, but what things are the most common then that have to be on a health paper? Is there anything that we have to test for? It depends on the state.
It depends on the state, definitely. Here in the state of Kansas, we definitely require a trick test on our incoming bulls, our trichomoniasis test. Depending on where they're coming from, like I said, we do require brucellosis test on some of the swine, some of the pseudorabies on some of the swine, but the cattle, basically we're free. Now, our heifers, our dairy heifers do require a TB test prior to coming into the state of Kansas, or a tuberculosis test.
You bet. Well, it's extremely interesting, extremely big job. I'm glad that we've done the groundwork and don't have to do all the testing anymore. I know it was a pain probably for when people were going through it, but boy, they made it easier on us.
Oh, very much so. It was a pain and it was costly.
Yep.
It was costly.
But it's saving us money now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about calfhood vaccinating your heifers, something that everybody does. probably sitting there, do it, don't think about it, don't know why we're doing it, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back from the break. You're watching Doc Talk, more with Dr. Smith after these messages.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except for when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. And he said, well, we'll have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. And I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio and gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
Working your cattle just got easier. Introducing the new VetGun delivery system, a new way to apply topical insecticides to your cattle. The VetGun lets you remotely treat cattle with effective parasite control, so you can do it just walking among the herd. It's that simple. The proven topical insecticide AML VetCap is used with the VetGun. It works fast to control horn flies and lice while minimizing stress on your cattle. Fast, easy, effective. VetGun. Check with your animal health supplier for availability.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
Howdy, I'm Kurt Pate from Rygate, Montana with your Beef Quality Assurance Tip of the Day. When we're handling livestock, I think it's important to remember that we have 3 kinds of pressure. We have a driving pressure, we have a drawing pressure, and a maintaining pressure. If we apply pressure properly, when we do whatever job we're going to do, it will put the animal in the position we want to put it in the right frame of mind. And for beef quality assurance, if the animal is calm and ready to be worked, that's the right thing to do.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help? How can we help?
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Fall is the best time to fertilize cool season lawns such as fescue or bluegrass. Fertilome Lawn Food Plus Iron is the best product available, formulated specifically for the Midwest.
It also contains iron and other micronutrients necessary for the greenest lawn in your neighborhood. Bring in a soil sample for a free pH test while you wait. We'll see you at Jackson's.
Our entire stock of shrubs, roses, berries, perennials, and trees are now on sale at 25% off.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
Support Kansas agriculture education with an AgriTag. AgriTags are available anytime at your county treasurer. They look great on cars and trucks. For more information, go online to ksagclassroom.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thomson with Dr. Justin Smith, who's the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner here in the state of Kansas, working for the Department of Agriculture. And we're talking about brucellosis, and so talk me through, because you hear people say, well, I got to bang those heifers, or I got to calfhood vaccinate those heifers. This is really part of this brucellosis control, correct?
That is correct. The calfhood vaccination has been a phenomenal vaccination, and it's helped us tremendously in the ability to eradicate this out of our domestic herds. So the calfhood vaccination is a vaccination that's available out there. It is only done or allowed to be done by an accredited veterinarian on your herd. It is a 2 cc dose. The vaccination period is anywhere between 4 and 10 months of age on cattle. I say that's certain states. Here in the state of Kansas, we do 4 to 12 months.
4 to 12 months
of age.
Now this is a live
that is
vaccine.
True. That is true.
This is actually, now the RB51 vaccine, which is a live brucellosis vaccine, and one that you don't want to inject yourself.
Very much so. No, the injection component is it is a live vaccine. It's a dangerous vaccine. Granted, the RB51 strain that we're using now is much safer than the old strain we used to use. We used to use the old strain 19, which was actually the field form of the vaccine, of the disease that we had out there. And so, but the RB51 is safer, but it still is a human health hazard. And it's definitely one of them things that if you do happen to stick yourself or be contaminated by a contaminated needle, you need to make sure and call your medical doctor right away.
Yeah, and you can get on antibiotics, and probably the most famous case of human brucellosis was the James Herriot.
Yes, exactly.
All creatures great and small.
Exactly.
He suffered from self-induced brucellosis. But so I'm going to vaccinate those heifers. What kind of paperwork or we have is it the orange ear tag that goes in there?
So when your veterinarian does it, they will do like I say, a 2 cc vaccine, and then they will put a tattoo in that ear of that animal that they vaccinate. And that tattoo is the official documentation or the official identification of that animal being vaccinated. It will have depending on the vaccine they use, it will have an R and then a USDA shield in the year that they were done in. In addition to that, they will put in an orange metal clip, or now we have actually orange RFID calfhood vaccination tags.
Cool.
So they will put that tag in. Honestly, that's an individual identification, but the official part of that vaccination is the tattoo. Is the tattoo.
And so now, which animals are required for calfhood vaccination? So if I have heifers, they're going to a feed yard.
No.
They don't have to be.
Right. In the state of Kansas, we have no requirements on calfhood vaccinations. So it's strictly a producer choice. But the ones that we do vaccinate are the heifers. We definitely don't want to do any of our bulls. In fact, if we do, that we need to consider that being a steer at that point in time.
Yeah. But because they'll show up positive for the testing that we do if we ran bangs testing on that bull.
Most definitely, yes. So, but yeah, it is the heifers between that 4 and 12 months of age.
Okay, great. Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about bangs and brucellosis and the wonderful program we have here in the United States. Learn a little bit more about it. We're lucky to have Dr. Smith here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Kathleen Morris is the 5th generation of a Texas ranching family, and her mother is a veterinarian, so it was natural for her to choose a career in veterinary medicine. Her main interests are in equine dentistry and podiatry, but she also loves working with small ruminants and livestock. After graduation, she will spend the summer working in Alberta, and then return to Texas to work full-time in a mixed practice.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide, presented by Lucas Oil, featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV, the all-new Better Horses Network.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Justin Smith, who's a veterinarian and is the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner here in the state of Kansas. And as we were talking in the break, just because Kansas doesn't have mandatory bangs, some states do.
Definitely. Most of our western states do require calfhood vaccinations, the Colorados, the Wyomings, Utahs. So that is something to keep in mind. Even though in Kansas we don't require it, if you happen to be moving animals there or potentially be moving animals to them states, you want to consider getting your animals vaccinated just for that purposes only.
And if you live in those states, obviously work with your veterinarian, make sure you get those heifers in the states. Check with your state veterinarian, your animal health commission, and make sure that your herd's in compliance with brucellosis, especially where they have elk herds and
definitely
and wanting to keep the vaccination and things like that. Speaking of elk, that was something we wanted to talk about with some of our wildlife or endemic infections, and it's not just elk, it's other species.
It is other species. There again, we talked about the designated surveillance areas, the Yellowstone area. They have a tremendous problem within their bison herds and within their elk herds, and so even to the point where they have started programs to where they don't feed in the calving areas that these times that these elk and these bison are calving up there, to try to decrease the exposure that their domestic herds have with them animals. The big concern we have here in the state of Kansas is the feral swine. Obviously we don't have a huge feral swine problem in the state of Kansas, but we do have a problem, and so Brucellosis in swine is an issue for us.
Absolutely. And when we start to think about, you know, we never think about bangs and pigs, but when you start to think about all the problems that feral swine cause in this state and what they could be causing with disease too, pretty dramatic.
Very dramatic, and the Brucellosis form of the Brucella bacteria is actually more pathogenic than the Brucella abortus that our cattle have, and so it is one of them things that we want to keep a handle on and make sure that we are. And so any of the animals that we harvest, any of the feral animals that we harvest, feral swine, we do testing on them to try to determine our prevalence for that and pseudorabies.
It's important too for people to understand that this could be zoonotic, and if you're out there trapping feral swine or shooting them and eating them.
Yes. Now the meat is good as long as it's properly prepared, but just know that as you're harvesting these animals and field dressing these animals, that if they are infected, you have the ability to be exposed.
Okay. And make sure that you cook it.
Yes, most definitely. It has to be prepared, and that is probably the biggest concern we have is in humans, or the exposure we have is drinking unpasteurized milk or eating contaminated unprepared meat.
Pasteurize your milk. Make sure that you cook your meat before you eat it. Thanks for being on the show.
No problem, Dan. Appreciate it greatly.
A great resource for me, a great resource for a lot of people in Kansas and beyond, Dr. Justin Smith, who is the Deputy Animal Health Commissioner here in the state of Kansas. Folks, thanks for watching Doc Talk. remember to always work with your local veterinarian. And if you want to know more about what we do here on DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. I appreciate you watching DocTalk this morning. I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.